Hey YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back. Today we are doing a Majespecter deck profile post Phantom Nightmare. So the set came out, Phantom Nightmare came out a couple weeks ago, but today I'm going to do a deck profile on one of my favorite decks. I got support from it, Majespecters. They are an archetype of WIND Spellcaster monsters that share a, most of them at least, share a great effect that they can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects. So all the ones that don't have pendulum scales can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects, which is great. There's one in the main deck that can be that I run, and then the ones in the extra deck all can be. This card is insane. Our new Link monster, Orthrus Nue. He's incredible. You can't ash him. He must be Veilered or Impermed, or target negated of some sort. But yeah. That's going to be it for the quick little intro. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get straight on into it. So my list is 40 cards even. Start off, we're going to start with the main one card combo, which is Majespecter Raccoon Bunbuku. On summon, he will add a Majespecter monster from your deck to your hand. Again, since he doesn't have a pendulum effect, he can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects. He's great. It is a when effect, so just make sure you're not making it miss timing. Make sure it's the last thing that's happening. Next, we are running our other one card starter, which is Majespecter Crow Yada. Yada on summon, he's our spell Rhoda. So he can search any of the spells in the archetype, anything that says Majespecter in its name. Unfortunately, the field spell doesn't. It is Majesty's Pegasus, not Majespecter's Pegasus. But yeah, it's great. The new quick play spell card is the card you search off of him for the one card combo. Next, running 3 Majespecter Fox Kyubi. So Kyubis are trap Rhoda. I'm running 3. Some people have opted to not run 3 and just run 2, because your main combo gets either this in the extra deck with a Link monster, or uses Ogama to like set a trap or two. So if Kirin does ever come back, I would probably take one of these out and put this in, just for the sole fact that it is still a scale 2 if I really have to use it. But most of the time, Kirin would just be summoned off of the new Ixie monster. After that, we are running the new in-deck monster. I just couldn't think what to say for a second. It is Majespecter Porcupine Yamarashi. He's a level 4 Wind Spellcaster. So him and Bunbuku can't make the Ixie, but him and Yada can. During the main phase, if you control Majespecter, you can just special summon him from the hand. He does activate, so it does start a chain. If they have something to negate it, they can. If he's normal or special summoned, you can target a Majespecter spell in the grave, set it. You can only use each of its effects, of its previous effects once per turn. While it's in the main monster zone, it can't be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Like all of them that don't have a pendulum effect, they all share that. Next, running 2 Ogama. Like I mentioned, some people run 2 Kyubi, 2 Ogama. Mine is a more pure build. It's not Draco Slayers. So, besides the Majesty Pegasus, the Draco Slayer, the in-deck Pendulum, he on summon Ogama, he's going to go ahead and set a Majespecter spell trap directly from the deck, but you can't activate it this turn. So most of the time you'd rather probably just get a trap card. But if you do want to get Cyclone, if you open, multiple traps, you don't really need to get a trap. You can get a spell. Next, running 2 of the card I just mentioned, the Majesty Pegasus, the Draco Slayer. So this card is really good on not normal summon, only special summoned by the effect of a Draco Slayer monster or pendulum summoned. You can go ahead and add any field spell from your deck to your hand and then discard a card. So the discard is after the add, so you don't have to worry about negging at all. Pendulum effect is really good. If you have a Draco Slayer or a Majespecter in your other pendulum scale, you can add a Draco Slayer pendulum monster with a different original name than that card. So you can add a copy of herself, because it's that card, as in the other card in your scale. And then you can go ahead and pop one of your cards in your pendulum zone. If you like, you don't have to do that part. She's great. I run her too in case I do see her. That way I can still scale her on top of being able to summon her. She's also required for a combo, which I will show in the combo video. But yeah, she is a great card. Definitely recommend running multiple of her. Some people run 3 just because they want the access, but I think 3 is just a little too much. And for the last Majespecter in the main deck, monster-wise, we are running a Majespecter Cat Nekomata, the only other level 3 besides Bunbuku, so everything else is a 4. If this card's normal or special summoned, when. The only one that's an if is Porcupine. All the other ones are when they're summoned. And I think this is if it's summoned. Yeah, if this card's special summoned. Yeah. So the 2 newer ones that didn't come out in 2015, this and the Porcupine. But when this card's normal or special summon, you can add a Majespecter card from your deck to your hand during the end phase of this turn. You can only use the effect of Majespecter Cat Nekomata once per turn. Can't be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Back to this card though for a second. I did forget to say, it can be targeted or destroyed by card effects. It does have a pendulum effect. This is the card I was talking about. You can discard it though for the rest of your turn. Your opponent can't target Draco Slayer monsters with card effects, and they can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Up to you though. If you do open 2, that is an option you can do. Next on to hand traps. Running 3 Ash Blossom, just generic, prevent your opponent from moving cards from the deck, summoning from it, adding from it, or sending to the grave from it. Pretty self-explanatory. If you don't want to run this because of a lot of Fire King or Rescue Ace or something, by all means, you don't have to. I just run it because I'm not really, my locals doesn't really have a lot of it, so I'm not really afraid to see a bunch of that. Next is Valor. So Valor is pretty much just worse imperm. During the opponent's main phase, you'd send it from your hand to the grave, target an effect monster your opponent controls, negate the effects of that face-up opponent's monster until the end of the turn. Great card. It's been out for, 13 years or so now. I mean, people know it's good if it's still being ran today. Next, instead of imperm in this deck, I am running Ghost Mourner. Reason why, it is still another monster negate, unfortunately only on a special summon monster, but it does prevent you from filling up your back row with a set imperm if you're going first, because imperm's just kind of dead at that point, because most of the times your combos are going to end on both pen scales on top of 3 set, which kind of sucks for this deck that we don't have the pen scales out here anymore. But, Konami does what Konami wants to do, unfortunately. We might get it back eventually. I doubt it. I mean, the board looked pretty atrocious, but it was very nice for pendulums. And then the last hand trap, which is the most important in this deck, I would say, is Droll and Lockbird. Only reason why is it is a Wind Spellcaster, so you can use it with the new Quick Play spell card. Absolutely incredible. Which is actually the next card we're going to go over. Starting into the spells is the new spell card, Majespecter Wind. So when it's activated, you can also tribute a Wind Spellcaster you control. Its effect is you can special summon a Majespecter monster from your hand or grave, or if you tributed a monster at activation, you can special summon one from the deck instead. You can only activate 1 Majespecter Wind per turn, which is incredible. It's pretty much just opening Yada if you open any Wind Spellcaster and Majespecter Wind. It gets you through the whole slightly less strong combo, but it's still pretty formidable. Next, running 1 Cyclone. I'm not running Storm or Sonics. I'm actually side decking a Sonics for like big decks that have big monsters. Sonic is tribute a Wind Spellcaster, target a monster your opponent controls, destroy it. Pretty self-explanatory, great removal. If you see Wind, Yada can add Cyclone, which is great. Or if you open Cyclone and or vice versa, you see the 1 copy of Cyclone, you can go ahead and do that. Or Ogama can even set this if you see Wind and you don't set the Wind back with the Porcupine. Next, the 2 field spells for the Majesty Pegasus. Our Secret Village of the Spellcasters, if you didn't notice, like I said, everything is a Wind Spellcaster monster, so we're not going to really have a problem having those on the field. For the Secret Village of the Spellcaster lock, unfortunately the deck still loses to Evenly Matched or Nibiru for the sole fact that we don't have any spell trap negates that we can search. And Nibiru, we don't have a response to. Like we normally can't do anything at the time of Nibiru. Majesty's Pegasus is just good to help boost your Majespecter monsters with a little bit of extra damage. Increases their attack and defense by 300, and then you contribute a Wind Spellcaster to special summon a level 4 or lower Majespecter from your deck, and you can only use that once per turn. You can activate another copy of it, but you can only use that effect once per turn. And last for the spells, I'm running 2 copies of Sky Striker Mecha Eagle Booster. If you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you can target a monster on the field. It's unaffected by card effects except its own this turn. And then if you have 3 more spells in your grave, it can't be destroyed by battle this turn. The second part of the effect is really irrelevant. On the massive amount that I've played this, I haven't had that come up at all. But the first part is important to help protect your Link monster. That way he can resolve, and you don't lose to like an Imperm or a Veiler. That is it for the spells, and for the traps, we're actually running 3. We are running the Majespecter Tempest, our counter trap card, a Majespecter Supercell, which is a continuous, and a Majespecter Tornado. So for Tempest, the counter trap, when a monster would be summoned or a monster's effect activated, you contribute a Wind Spellcaster type monster, negate the summon or activation, and then destroy that card. Basically a Solemn Strike, but with the cost of tributing a Wind Spellcaster. Supercell, while you have a Majespecter card in your Pendulum Zone, the activation of effects of other Majespecter cards activated on your field can't be negated. So kind of Ultrageist Protocols your board. It's great to have that because there are times where that protection will come in handy. I have had that come up at locals twice. Unfortunately, the second effect is a little not so good. You can target, once per turn, target 5 Majespecter cards in the grave, shuffle all 5 into the deck, and then draw 1 card. So it's a Jar of Avarice for Majespecter cards, but it does have to shuffle all 5 or it will not resolve. If they call by the grave, DD Crow or something, it just doesn't work. And then the last trap, our normal trap here, tribute 1 Wind Spellcaster, target a monster your opponent controls, banish it. Super straightforward, super simple. Your main combo can end on both of these, and then a most likely Wind. If you open Wind, you can end on Cyclone too. And you can use all of them. Like, you will have enough Wind Spellcasters that all of those are live. That's the main kind of end board, and that is actually it for the main deck. It is exactly 40 cards. If you wanted to add a Called by the Grave in there somewhere, you could maybe take out the Supercell if you want. But like I said, it does come up. So I maybe would just test around with it, guys. Starting on the extra deck, we are running 3 copies of our Link monster, Majespecter Orthrus Nue. Of course, he's a Wind Spellcaster Link effect monster. He requires 2 Pendulums, including at least 1 Majespecter monster. If he's Link summoned, you can go ahead and add 2 Majespecter Pendulum monsters from your extra deck to your hand. Then you can add up to 2 Majespecter Pendulum monsters from your deck with different names, I believe. Yes, with different names to your extra deck face up. You don't have to do the second part. The first part is the only thing you have to activate if you activate the effect. But this is the main reason why we are running the Eagle Booster in the main decks, to protect him. As you can tell, he doesn't have any sort of protection. If his effect does resolve, he does actually lock you into Majespecter and Draco Slayer monsters the rest of the turn, which isn't too much of a problem, unless it is game 2 or 3 and your opponent opens Evenly Match or Nibiru. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Next, we're running 1 Beyond the Pendulum and 1 Exceed the Pendulum. These are just really good generic Pendulum deck cards. Beyond's pay 12, add a Pendulum monster from deck to hand. If you know Pendulum decks, you know what that card does. And then if you special summon 2, or Pendulum summon 2 monsters with different levels from your extra deck to the zones it points to, you can target 2 cards on the field, pop them. Do note, if you do add, I do want to add this just in case you don't know, if you do add a pendulum monster off of this, you cannot activate your pendulum scale effects or monster effects until you pendulum summon. Exceed the Pendulum, on the other hand, is just 2 effect monsters, including a pendulum. This is 2 effect monsters, including a pendulum as well. It gains 100 attack for each pendulum monster card you control, and then you can only use each of the effects of it once per turn, all hard once per turn here. If it's link summoned, you can add a face-up pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, and then during the main phase as a quick effect, you can special summon a pendulum monster from your hand or grave, whose level is between your scales. So in this deck, you could summon any 3s and 4s, because you have 2 and 5 for your scales. Side note though, Beyond the Pendulum is not once per turn, so you can go ahead, if you run a second copy and you're not locked into Majespecters and stuff, you can make 2 copies. I've seen a lot of Alliance lists lately that run 2, so yeah, up to you. But yeah, that's actually it for these 2 cards. Also do note, XC does summon the monster in defense position. I don't know how relevant that's going to be. I normally only ever use this if I have a good enough hand to not go into this so that I can break boards or go for an OTK. Next, running 1 Boral Sword and 1 Goddess of the Closed World. Pretty straightforward cards. If I had access code, I'd probably run it here. You know, personal preference though. I do really like Boral Sword. It's a good secondary. And then Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, your deck isn't very big. Your biggest archetypal card is 2300 attack. That is pretty petty when it comes to wanting to give them, you know, damage, Konami. Thank you. But, you know, this helps you get over towers, and then it gives you a 3k body. You normally only can go into this on follow-up turns whenever you can do, like, Beyond the Pendulum and whatnot. But yeah, these 2 are pretty self-explanatory cards. They're in here just for toolbox purposes. Next, we're going to go on to the Ixies, running a Cowboy for game, or if you need to get something just a little bit bigger, 25. He gets to 25, he can drop something by 8 too. You can. Running a Baguska and a Lightning Chidori. Baguska is pretty self-explanatory. It is either a really small towers, unaffected towers in attack position, or a floodgate in defense. Most of the time, if you summon him, you're going to put him in defense just because you're strapped for resources. And then Lightning Chidori, if it's Ixie summoned, you can target a set card your opponent controls, return it to the deck, and then bottom of the deck. Right? Yeah, bottom of the deck, and then once per turn, detach Ixie material from this card, target a face-up card your opponent controls, return that target to the top of the deck. Some of the greatest removal in the entire game right here, and he does require 2 level 4 wind monsters, which you will not have a problem making whatsoever. We are running 1 Magister Paladin, the Ascending Draco Slayer. This is in the 1-card combo with Bambuku. I will show and go over that in the test hands, don't worry. But whenever it's Ixie summoned, you can activate the effect to add a pendulum monster, any of them, from your deck to your hand during the end phase of that turn. And then you can detach a material from this card, special summon 1 face-up Draco Slayer pendulum monster from your extra deck, but it could not be used as Ixie material, which is fine. I mean, you will use this effect to summon 1 back, but it's just to have a WIND Spellcaster to tribute. Finally, for Ixies, we'll probably cut one of these down, but right now I'm running 3 Majespecter Draco Ryus. It is a scale 5, which isn't going to come up unless Kirin comes back, unfortunately. If you have a Majespecter or Draco Slayer card in your other scale, you can go ahead and add a Majespecter card from your deck to your hand, and then you can destroy one card in your Pendulum Zone. You can only use that effect of Draco Ryu once per turn. Its monster effect is if you can Pendulum Summon a level 4, you can Pendulum Summon this card from the face-up extra deck. If a card is tributed at all, you can go ahead and detach material from this card. Special summon a level 6 or lower WIND Spellcaster from the deck. 6 or lower, the only thing that's above 4 is Kirin, so hopefully eventually. And then you can use this effect twice per turn. If this card in the monster zone would be destroyed by battle or card effect or is tributed, you can place it in the pendulum zone. It's kind of the reason for it, honestly, is that second part in its pendulum scale effect is really just for Kirin. Like, there's no way you're going to clear it up to be able to tribute it or let it get destroyed to put it down there. Granted, if you can find a way, tell me. I'd love to hear, but I'm not entirely sure if that's going to come up realistically. And then the last card in the extra deck is just one Dinoster Power, the Mighty Dracoslayer. He's a Dragon Fusion effect monster. He's a water attribute. He takes a Dracoslayer pendulum and a pendulum monster. It must be special summoned from the extra deck by tributing. Mind, it does trigger Ryu because it tributing the above materials, above cards you control. And then pendulum cards in your pendulum zones and in your main monster zones cannot be destroyed by card effects or by battle. Once per turn, you can special summon a Dracoslayer pendulum monster from your hand or grave, but it cannot be used as fusion material. He's just pretty good because in the combo, he summons back to overlay for the Magister Paladin. Magister Paladin, detach, summon one. Of course, effect on summon. Detach, summon one from the extra deck. Depending on your board, it could be in a Link Arrow or in the EMZ. But yeah, absolutely great card. Gives your board protection, like super protection. If we get Kirin back in this card, oh my goodness, like, your opponent's not even going to know what to be able to do because they're not even going to be able to pop your scales so that Kirin can just bounce them freely. You don't have to worry about it. But yeah, that is actually it for the side deck. I mean, not the side deck, the extra deck, and for the deck profile as a whole. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did like the video, please leave a like down below, and then consider subscribing. Like I said, the test hands will be out soon. I'll go ahead and get working on that here as soon as I'm done with this. And yeah, if you have any suggestions or any concerns or anything you want to see in the future, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know. I do have a lot of decks. I've got a lot of cards. So just let me know, and I'd be more than happy to help you guys out. Anyways, that is it for now, guys. I'll see you next time. Peace.